Hi, my name is Mandy. This is Evie. She's sick, so she wants to be held by Mom. And today we're going to be doing my mid-December wrap-up. Now, for a change, I actually got this cold first, so you probably can hear it in my voice. It's not 100%, but I am getting better, and I wanted to get some pre-filming done today. So be prepared, the next few videos that I will be posting, I will sound like this, and that's why. In the first half of December, I have been able to read 13 books, and I am participating in one readathon. It's a month-long readathon, the Magical Winter Readathon. This readathon is based on Harry Potter. It is organized by Book Roast, who is the same booktuber behind the Owl and the Newt Readathon. I did the Newt Readathon earlier this year, and while for the Owl and Newt Readathon you are filling prompts to receive an exam and a grade, for the Winter Readathon you go to the website that she has set up and you follow scenarios and choose outcomes, and based on the outcomes that you choose, those are the prompts that you receive. So far, in the 2 weeks that this readathon has been going on, I have received 3 prompts and I've read the 3 books. I'm going to start out with those books so we can get them out of the way. Oh hi, do you want to be held again? I think we're going to end up with a lot of that today. She'll be in and out a lot. The readathon is based on the second book, Harry's second year, because this is her second year doing this readathon. So the first prompt that I received was based on my choice to stay and talk to Mr. Weasley about Muggle things, and I had to read a contemporary. Ow, Evie! She tried to stick a stool on my foot. I had to read a contemporary, and the contemporary that I chose to read was American Panda by Gloria Chow. This is one of the books that I drew in my TBR video. This is about a girl named May who is Chinese American. She's actually Thai, and she has had a lot of pressure put on her to marry the right boy, a Chinese boy, to be a doctor. And because of all that pressure she's been put under her whole life, she finds herself a 17-year-old college freshman. So as she's starting her first year of college, she starts to realize that she does not want to be a doctor. She does not like germs or bodily fluids, and she realizes she can't do it. But there is so much pressure placed on her parents that she doesn't know what to do, and to top it off, she is falling for a Japanese boy that's in her classes, and dating a Japanese boy is a big no-no in her parents' eyes. And so it's really about her learning to find herself and who she is and what she wants in spite of all of the expectations put on her by her parents. I really enjoyed this book. It actually surprised me how much I did like it. I gave it 4 stars. I thought that the writing style was really fun, and it really gave me an insight into another culture. And the author, in her author's note at the end, she did say that it was based on her own experiences, and she does admit that not every experience of a Chinese American is the same. But it was very interesting to get another look into culture. My next prompt was a result of choosing to go through the platform 9 3/4 barrier with Hermione. And because of that, I had to read an urban fantasy. And the book that I chose isn't, I guess I would say it's more of a paranormal book than an urban fantasy, but the definition that she gave on that prompt was a book set in the real world with a magical world thing going on in tandem, just like with Harry Potter. I'm gonna stretch it a little bit, and I read Waterfall by Kate Bryan. This book, I did not enjoy it very much. I'll just say that up front. We all kind of make fun of YA book character names. They can be pretty ridiculous at times. And I think that this book really takes the cake with ridiculous names. The main girl's name is Eureka. Her love interest's name is Ander. So very normal names, right? I know plenty of people named Eureka. You've got a girl named Eureka who has recently lost her mother. Her mother always told her to never cry, never cry. And then this guy Anders shows up and starts telling her that she's in danger and there's something to do with Atlantis. And yeah, I mean, it was an interesting premise, but I rated this 2 stars. I just think the execution was not fully potentialized. I don't think that's a word. I've been sick. Okay, give me a break. The love story wasn't even all that insta-lovey. She didn't like instantly love him, but he wasn't really around for much of the book. I mean, he was there in the beginning. He just kind of showed up for maybe a page here or a page there. Most of the story didn't take place with him at all. And then at the end, it's like, oh my gosh, let's make out. And it's like, Only 2 stars for me. Disappointing, but I tried. And then the last prompt that I received was after I decided to join a book club with Hermione, I had to read a book club pick. It could be any kind of book club, a booktube book club, in-person book club. The book club that I chose was Bookmarked, which is a book club consisting of Haley in Bookland, A Clockwork Reader, and Read by Zoe. They have since disbanded, but a few months ago they chose to read Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Robertson. This is one that has been on my list, and I honestly cheated a little bit with the book club pick because this one came in on Libby, available to listen to. The audiobook did, and I said, hey, I want to read this book next. So I typed into YouTube Sorcery of Thorns book club, and I found that they read that one for their book club. This book is about a girl named Elizabeth who has grown up in a library. This is a magical world where libraries are home to grimoires, which are magical books. It is no longer legal to create grimoires because a lot of dark stuff goes into creating them, but the libraries have them, and they are used by sorcerers. But Elizabeth believes sorcery to be bad and wrong. That's what she's been taught in the library her entire life. Well, when a sorcerer breaks into her library and the blame is put onto her, she is swept up into the life of a sorcerer named Nathaniel, who comes to take her to her trial, and stuff just kind of goes from there. I was looking at GOODREADS reviews of this, and they really seemed pretty middle of the road. A lot of people gave this like 3 stars. The majority rating was 3 stars, but I actually enjoyed it a lot. I really liked the world, I liked the characters, and I really liked their banter. I enjoyed reading this book, and I actually gave it 5 stars. That is it for the books that I have read so far for the Magical Winter Readathon. Now we get to go into the books that I read this month. Up first on my list, I read Along for the Ride by Sarah Dessen. This is one of my favorite Sarah Dessen books. It's about a girl named Auden who goes to spend the summer with her dad, her stepmom, and their brand new baby. Auden is also an insomniac. It started during her parents' divorce and just kind of continued. During her night wanderings as an insomniac, she meets Eli, who also is an insomniac, and they get to know each other and have some fun at night, and it's really cute. It melts your heart. If you haven't read this book by Sarah Dessen yet, I highly recommend this one. It's one of my favorites. And I think Netflix optioned it for a movie, so I'm excited about that to come. After that, I read The Heart of Betrayal by Mary E. Pearson. This is the second book in the Remnant Chronicles. Because it's the second book, I won't explain too much about this one. I'll give a brief overview of the first one. It's about a girl named Leah. She's a princess about to enter an arranged marriage, but she flees and ends up in a little town with her maid slash best friend. Eventually, she is tracked to that town by the prince she was supposed to marry and an assassin, and I'll leave it at that. The first book I thought was a middle of the road. It was good, but it wasn't amazing. and I thought that the second book was even better. I gave it 3.5 stars. I thought that the character development was a lot better, along with the relationship development. I really liked the things we learned about old characters and new characters, and overall I did enjoy it. The next book I read was a reread from last month, so I won't say too much about it, but I reread Supernova by Marissa Meyer. This wasn't necessarily a reread for me. The previous books in this series, my husband and I listened to them on audiobook, and so we were just waiting for the audiobook to become available from our library, and we listened to it together. I still really enjoyed this book. I think it's 5 stars. My husband enjoyed it as well. Probably not as much as me, but I don't know if there are very many people in the world who enjoyed the Renegade series as much as I did. The next book that I read was Let It Snow by John Green, Maureen Johnson, and Lauren Miracle. This book just came out as a Netflix movie, and so I know there are a lot of people interested in it right now. It is a collection of short stories that all intermingle. They take place in one town, and each author has written a story, but some of the characters from other books or some of the other stories come into play, and they all connect a little bit. There is a massive snowstorm on Christmas Eve. It's one of the biggest ones in the history of the town. And we start our story with Jubilee, who is on a train to see her grandparents for the holidays. She gets stuck and decides to leave the train and go to a Waffle House where she meets a guy named Stuart who invites her over for Christmas dinner. Then you have a guy named Tobin who has a crush on his best friend, and will there hike to the Waffle House through the snow bring love? I don't know. And finally you have, I can't remember the third character's name. Apparently she was forgettable, but she cheated on her boyfriend and is feeling all heartbroken about it and wishes that he would take her back. So I'll tell you, the first story was my favorite one. The second one was just okay, and I did not like the third one about the girl who cheated. I don't know. There shouldn't be happy endings for cheaters, at least not right away, not after some real penance. I don't know. But I also watched the movie, and the movie was very different. One thing I will say about the book is that it was published in 2008, and it really did feel like a book that was published back then. I can't exactly place my finger on what it was about the writing style, but maybe you'll know what I'm talking about when you say that you could just tell a book from that age. Not just because of technological things. They're just plot points that wouldn't be 100% okay, like a whole bunch of vapid cheerleaders showing up at the Waffle House. I don't know. I don't think that some of the stories would be told in the same way today, and the movie did change basically everything. And while I saw the necessity for some of the changes in the movie, others were not so necessary. I was a little disappointed because my favorite couple, Jubilee and Stuart from the first little bit, they completely changed up their story and made it Stuart a pop star. It was weird. But anyways, the book was just okay. Overall, I gave it a 3-star rating. If I were to break it up by stories, I'd probably give the first story 4 stars, the second 3.5, and the third 2 stars. Now that I've spent enough time rambling about the movie and the book, let's move on. The next book that I read was Call It What You Want by Brigitte Kammerer. This was told in dual perspective. You have a guy named Rob whose dad embezzled from like the entire town. After his dad embezzled, he tried to commit suicide, but it went wrong, and now he is basically a vegetable that just kind of hangs out in their house. And then you have Megan, who has been ostracized from her peers because she tried to cheat on the SATs. And to top it all off, her sister is pregnant, and as they have both been ostracized, through a school project, they come together and realize that they have a lot more in common. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars. I really liked the writing style. I liked the characters. I liked that there was a lot more substance. I mean, that's some pretty hard stuff that they're dealing with. A guy whose dad embezzled from everybody and a girl who cheated on the SATs. So overall, I enjoyed it a lot. I hope you will too if you choose to check it out. Sorry, I feel like I've been rambling for a while, so I'm trying to cut these a little short. The next book that I read is Last Year's Mistake by Gina Chioka. This one is about a girl who has been living in her new town for about a year, and she has settled into her new life. She's got a boyfriend, she's got friends, she's popular, and then it all gets ruined when her ex-best friend from childhood shows up. Something happened between them. We don't know what. You get it told in the present and in the past. You get to see what happened last year little by little, and then what happens this year. I am a sucker for childhood romances. I mean, or when childhood best friends become lovers, and I thought that that was a perfect recipe for me, except there was a little bit of cheating involved. I mean, the guy starts dating one of her friends and she's still dating her boyfriend, and because of that, even though I did like the writing style, I just couldn't quite get on board with the characters, and I give this one 2.5 stars. And then I read The Problem with Forever by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is about a girl named Mallory who she spent the beginnings of her life in foster care in a really bad situation. Fast forward a few years, she's been adopted by a couple of doctors. She has a really good place in life, and she decides that she wants to start public school. She's been homeschooled since she was adopted because she has a really hard time talking to people due to some of her circumstances earlier in life. So she decides that she's ready to go to high school, and when she starts, she comes into contact again with Ryder. Ryder was with her during the really hard foster home. He is the reason that she's still alive today. She reconnects with Ryder. She starts to learn how to come out of her shell and what's okay and what she doesn't have to change about herself. I really enjoyed this one. It was such a great story, and it felt like real people. If you are looking for a contemporary that has more substance, this one definitely has it, especially if you don't want to sacrifice substance for romance, because it's got it both. And then I had a disappointment. One of my bookish buzzwords is kissing. Like, I'm a sucker for a great kissing scene. And when I came across this book on Book Outlet called Kissing Max Holden, I was like, yeah, bring on the kissing. So when this book came in, I haven't done a haul on this book yet, so this is your first time seeing it. It's by Katie Upperman. I was all for it. It talked about how a girl's childhood best friend, I'm a sucker for it, came into her room one night and he was having a hard time and he kissed her, and then it said that he kissed her on other occasions in the description, and I said, yeah, that sounds great. But what the synopsis failed to tell you is that while he's kissing her, he's got a girlfriend. Because even though his girlfriend was terrible, she was mean and bleh, that still doesn't make it okay. The little tagline on the book says, kissing Max Holderman was a bad idea. Well, reading this book was a bad idea too. I gave it 2 stars. It just really, it wasn't for me. Apparently I'm going on the cheating tirade today. Sorry. Despite some good kissing scenes, it's not for me. After that, I read Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. This is another one that I picked out from my TBR while drawing names. And I've been kind of dragging my feet on this one. I did not think I was going to like it, but I did. This book is about a boy named Laszlo Strange, who is an orphan, and He spent his entire life dreaming about this city called Weep. 200 years before the start of this book, the city Weep had a lot of trade with the people in Laszlo's town, and 200 years before that, it just suddenly stopped. The city was not always called Weep. The second mystery that Laszlo is obsessed with is that when he was a child, everyone forgot the name of the city. They all just know it as Weep. So when delegates from the city of Weep show up and ask for help in a problem, Laszlo, while he's not actually chosen to help with the problem, he ends up along with the caravan. Then you meet a girl named Sarai, who lives kind of in the city of Weep, and she is actually the daughter of a god. She has blue skin, and she has the ability to travel into dreams and influence them. Her and Laszlo eventually come in contact with each other through dreams, and that's all I will say. This story was really beautifully told. I was not expecting to like it, as I said. The characters were inviting and I wanted to know more. I really enjoyed Laszlo and Sarai's interactions with each other and as they learn the mystery of the city of Weep. And the last book I have to talk to you about is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. This is my first Christina Lauren book, and it probably will be my last, not because I didn't like it. I actually really enjoyed this book. I've said on my channel before that I do not like explicit sex scenes, which is ironic because I love a good kiss scene. There's a line. I don't always know where that line is because I don't mind when sex happens in books, but I don't like it explicitly. And because The Unhoneymooners is an adult romance, there is sex, but I had heard that this scene was really tame in comparison to other Christina Lauren books. So I decided to take a gamble and check it out, and I am so glad that I did. I love the story. This book has gone around BookTube a lot, so you probably know the premise, but a girl's twin sister, everyone gets food poisoning at her wedding, and because the honeymoon is non-transferable, her sister says go, because our main character, Olive, and the brother of the groom are the only two that didn't get food poisoning. Well, Olive and the brother, Ethan, don't get along, but they are swept up on this dream honeymoon together and have to pretend to be married because the trip is not transferable. So they go on this honeymoon and obviously romance blooms and a non-explicit sex scene. Even though I loved their writing style, it was so fun, and I mean I spent a lot of time reading young adult, mainly because I like reading romances but I don't want the sex scenes, that I kind of did not know what it was like to read an adult book, and I related to the characters so much more than YA characters because they were adults. They were closer to my age. So if you know of any books that are more adultish with non-explicit sex scenes or anything like that, I'm all ears. Tell me all about them. I don't know if you can tell. My dog is jumped up here. Okay, don't kiss me. She likes to jump up and just kind of like chill there. And I'm keeping her right here because I'm afraid that if I don't keep her right here, she's going to start barking at anyone walking outside. Anyways, so 4 stars. It was a really great read and I'm so happy that I did read it. And that was my month. This is a long video. I'm sorry. But what have you guys read so far in December? Have you read any really cute Christmassy books? I mean, I have only really read one Christmassy book, but I'd be open to hearing about more. Let me know what you guys have been reading. Thanks so much for watching. As always, if you liked what you saw, feel free to click subscribe. You can also follow me on my social media, which I will link down below. I hope you're having a great bookish holiday, and I'll see you next time. Bye!